Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today we're going to chat a little bit about B vitamins, and we'll do a live Q&A right after. So B vitamins are essential, right? These are essential nutrients that help run our Krebs cycle and our energy system. When we take in sugar, we actually have to utilize B vitamins to process a lot of these sugars. So people that intake high amounts of sugar or high amounts of alcohol, which gets broken down into sugar, this can actually deplete your B vitamins. So in general, we have B vitamins are going to be rich in a lot of animal products, right? Also very high in plant-based vegetables as well. And B vitamins are water soluble. Now, certain B vitamins like B12 actually require certain proteins like intrinsic factor, which is produced in the stomach, to bind to that folate, or sorry, to bind to the B12 in your stomach. This intrinsic binds to it, and then it gets later reabsorbed at the end of the small intestine in the ileum. So certain B vitamins have these proteins that are required. We also need adequate stomach acid to make that happen too, because stomach acid is essential for breaking down a lot of these nutrients, or breaking down the meat, or breaking down a lot of the food compounds where these B vitamins are rich in. Now, stress will actually cause you to deplete a lot of B vitamins. So if you're getting poor sleep, or if you're under increased physical, chemical, or emotional stress, you will burn through a lot of your B vitamins. Extra stress will also decrease your ability to make adequate levels of stomach acid. So it's really possible that you may just burn up or increase your need for these stomach acid or for these nutrients with just more stress, right? So more stress may cause you to burn through these things. Now, there's some research and associated evidence showing that like depletion in B1 can increase tendencies for addiction. Also, B12 is a lot of neurological issues and conditions that may surmise. There's like posterior lateral sclerosis or these various megaloblastic anemias that can happen with low levels of B12, because you need B12 to mature red blood cells, and you also need it to have a healthy nervous system. There's a certain bit of dementia and Alzheimer's that can improve just with a supplemental B12 injection with elderly, for instance. B12 can easily pop a small percent of these people out of an Alzheimer or out of like a dementia-like state where their memory is just totally gone. Can massively, massively help. A lot of B vitamins, especially folate, tends to be more in this synthetic folic acid form that actually has to be converted. And a lot of the folic acid supplements are just cheaper supplements. So like the ones that I manufacture, we choose LMTHF folate. When we go to the manufacturer to buy it, we make sure we choose the activated form. It costs more, but typically there's a lot better effects from the absorption, and certain percent of population that have MTHFR, the C or the A SNPs on that, whether they're heterozygous or homozygous, may have a problem converting some of them. So we find that having that is a worthwhile investment. People will pay a little more for that. Also, B6 is a really important B vitamin that's responsible for a lot of the neurotransmitter synthesis. So a lot of the brain chemicals like serotonin and dopamine and GABA, we actually need adequate levels of B6 to actually convert and to synthesize those amino acids into our brain chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, etc. And also B6 can be really important for gut motility, because a lot of serotonin's in our gut. B6 is important for having healthy motility. So if we have low levels of B vitamins, that could easily drive down our motility and potentially, decrease or increase, I say, auto intoxication, where we're reabsorbing a lot of these toxins and potentially increase our chance of SIBO. So we talked about the addiction component. We talked about schizophrenia. Other types of B vitamin issues can easily drive some of that. We can have the Cheilosis around the mouth, which is like a lot of the cracking and redness around the mouth from actually a lack of B vitamins. That's a Cheilosis. Also, gut inflammation. So we have celiac or gluten sensitivity or other gut infections that could easily disrupt B12, because B12 is one of these guys that requires the intrinsic factor in the stomach. So then you have this binding protein that happens down in the end of the small intestine, in the ileum. So there's a couple more steps to process B12. And a lot of people, if they're getting a lot of their folic acid from like orange juice or bread, that's not good. So we want to get folate from good quality vegetable sources and healthy meats. And we want to also get it, if we're taking a good quality multi, we want a good LMTHF folate in there as well to maximize our absorption. We talked about how stress can cause you to burn up a lot of your B vitamins. Really important. because if we under more stress, you may need more B vitamins. I'd rather have expensive urine where you're peeing out some of the B vitamins than not, because if you're not peeing out the B vitamins, it's probably because you're not getting enough, right? So that's just a good sign of sufficiency, and they're water soluble, so our body can deal with them. It's not like giving mega high doses of vitamin A where it's fat soluble and our body will store it and could potentially have issues. It's going to be, or vitamin D as well. It's water soluble, so our body can do with it what it needs. So B vitamins and cognitive issues are important. B vitamins and addiction issues are important. B vitamin and energy, because the B vitamins run our electron transport chain and our Krebs cycle. They're important for generating energy. So if you have chronic fatigue or adrenal issues, you're typically going to need B5, you're going to need B6, your B1, which is your thiamines, your B1, your riboflavins, your B2, your B3 is your niacin, your B5 is pantothenic acid, your B6 is pyridoxal phosphate, P5P. Your B9 or folate is B9 as well. Your B12 is like either a methylated cobalamin and adenosocobalamin or hydroxycobalamin are your big three B12s. We want to stay away from the cyanocobalamin, which isn't quite as good on the absorption side. Then we have other nutrients like choline that tends to get absorbed with those as well. And these are really important nutrients for methylation, right? The big ones from methylation are B6, B9 or folate, and then B12. These are the big ones that we need for healthy methylation. And methylation is basically us, we tag a carbon and 3 hydrogens to whatever that process is, whether we're methylating DNA or we're detoxifying or it's happening in our mitochondria. We need these processes to occur, and these are the major nutrients we need. And like I mentioned earlier, sugar will also cause you to burn a whole bunch of B vitamins because the sweetness, your body says, okay, a bunch of nutrition's coming in, but if it's a whole bunch of refined sugar and doesn't actually contain nutrients along with it, then there's a really good chance that you're getting a lot of the sugar and you're not getting the nutrients to help run the processes. So imagine like you use a credit card and there's like a transaction fee on it, right? But imagine what you're bringing in and what's going out in the transaction fee. The transaction fee is actually higher. Imagine you spend $5, but the transaction fee is like 10. Well, you actually go into debt on that, negative $5. So that kind of gives you an example of what's happening in your body when you're taking in extra sugar and extra carbs. All right, today will be a short chat. Let me just answer a couple of questions real quick. And I got to jump on to a patient. But I hope today was informative. Let's see here. Dr. J, I have severe cramps in my legs during nighttime. Electrolytes don't seem to help. I also have indication and symptoms such as Bartonella. Do you have any recommendations? Well, again, I would make sure your diet's good, because if you have inflammation going on in your gut, that could easily decrease the absorption of a lot of those nutrients. I'd make sure the electrolytes are adequate. You are getting enough electrolytes, 4,700 milligrams of potassium, 600 to 800 milligrams of magnesium, about a gram of calcium, add good quality Celtic or real or Himalayan sea salt to get the extra good quality sodium and sea salt in there, and then work on the gut next. Those would be the first couple of places I'd look at. Jade writes in, I have hypothyroidism and find red meat difficult to digest. Do I take nutritional yeast to substitute? I eat white meat, chicken, and turkey free range and organ products. Yeah, I would definitely work on figuring out what's going on in the gut. So hydrochloric acid and enzymes are going to be essential. Those are the first 2 R's in the 6R program, right? Remove the bad foods, replace the enzymes and acids. Those are the first 2, the diet and the digestive support. The third R is work on healing the gut lining and adding the nutrients for the gut support, and then repairing the adrenals and the thyroid. So I'd work on those first 2 R's second, and then the third R, like I mentioned, repair the gut lining and adrenals and thyroid, and then the fourth is remove the infection. So you got to do a little bit of work to figure out what's going on. And if you need to add a little bit of nutritional yeast in there, that is fine. Pain under the right ribs with gas and bloating and belching, ultrasound negative, bilirubin 1.9. I think that's a little bit high, right? I think it's 1.2 or 1.3 is elevated. So there could be some borderline inflammation happening with the gallbladder. I would look at an autoimmune paleo template. And then if not, I would also Google Dr. Jonathan Wright gallbladder article. There's a couple other foods that could be an issue, like eggs, like pork and turkey, and even like nuts and seeds. So I would look at that article and see if that helps. Randomly started getting small red bumps, which are very itchy after sun exposure. only getting these issues this year. They fade after a day or so. So is this like in the sun, you get these bumps, they go away? It looks like some kind of like eczema or maybe a dermatitis issue, like a perioral kind of thing. Where's the location of these bumps? Need a little more intel. My functional doc said no B12 supplementation because it can exacerbate anxiety. Again, it depends. If you're having issue with B vitamins, I would typically add B vitamins in first. I would do one that doesn't have the folate and the B12. There's a product by Seeking Health called B- that doesn't have those nutrients in it. I would add in folate or B12 second. I would do it by itself. I'd probably do an adenosyl hydroxy blend and then add the folate in. So I'd do them one at a time. And you may have to work on fixing the gut first. Can infections cause elevated CRP? Absolutely, right? CRP is C-reactive protein, which is produced by the liver in response to inflammation, right? Cytokines, interleukins stimulate this stuff. They go to the liver produces CRP as an inflammatory response. So you got to get to the root cause of why that inflammation is there. Bal writes in severe low testosterone at 23. That sounds like free testosterone. The gel is not working. Been 5 months. Shall I switch to injections? Again, you want to get to the root cause of why your testosterone's low. So, I mean, have you made diet changes? Have you worked on fixing the adrenals? Have you used the adaptogenic herbs? Are you sleeping adequately? Have you cut down a lot of the refined sugar and junk? So, I mean, if you've done all those things, and that may make sense, and I would do weekly injections at a lower dose and just try to keep your testosterone like in the top 25% of the reference range, and don't go into like a pharmaceutical, like, heightened level. Keep it in the natural upper range, but work on getting to the root underlying issue. I'd rather see you do DHEA and get good fat soluble vitamins in there and good nutrients, and make sure your digestion's working. If your diet's great, but you're not digesting food well, you're not going to be able to benefit from all the good nutrients that you're taking in. All those nutrients will eventually help make and provide the building blocks to make those hormones. Vivek writes in, hair thinning, not blotches of hair falling out like alopecia, brittle hair in men, and thyroid. Is the thyroid or high insulin related? What do you think? Possibly. There could be a gut issue where you're not absorbing and breaking down these nutrients. There could just be a diet thing where you're not getting enough of these building blocks. Try adding in collagen, get your thyroid looked at, get your gut looked at for sure. Kim writes in, have massive bloating and distension in my upper stomach, had a CT scan that showed Ilus. Do you mean ileitis? I'm not sure what that means. When the GI said nothing is wrong, went to another GI doc and he said the gallbladder and had said gallbladder had ultrasound -4. Okay, so I would go look at what's going on with the gut. Could be a SIBO thing that wouldn't even show up with any of these methods. Could be a parasite thing. You got to go work through the 6 R's and figure out what the underlying issue is. Jade writes in, a grain-free diet. Does this mean I need to exclude quinoa, buckwheat, both seed and not a grain, but contains proteins, not gluten? I would pull it out if you have gallbladder issues, just to be on the safe side. All right, hope that helps, guys. Kim writes in, stones or sludge, but I have had burning pain in my mid-back, and my pain meds don't even help the pain. Yeah, you got to get to the underlying issue where that gut is. So it could be a SIBO issue with an infection. You may not be breaking down your food. You may be eating a lot of food allergens too. Again, recommend seeing that Dr. Jonathan Wright article. If you go to my website, justinhealth.com, and go to the search and type in gallbladder issues, you should be able to find an article where I do a video and provide a whole bunch of info on this topic. All right, cool. Hope that helps y'all. I got to run on to a patient here. You guys have a phenomenal day. Take care.